the appropriate device in the appropriate way. But you notice what I keep saying: using the devices and force in the appropriate situation. Mm-hmm. You don't ever want to take the discretion away from an officer to make good, reasonable judgments.
Well, you have the use of force continuum.
Absolutely, you do. Yeah. And that starts from your mere presence right up, unfortunately, through the use of deadly force and everything in between. So to answer your question, Pastor C, in terms of the court cases, that of course depends on the composition of the jury, the case presented by the state's attorney. As you saw, the case in Baltimore fell apart with the Freddie Gray thing. Now that had a lot of other challenges that experts on both sides of that issue looked at in terms of how the case was presented and so forth and so on. But again, how effective is the prosecutor? How passionate is the prosecutor in terms of seeking a conviction? What does the jury think? You know what I mean? So all of these factors play into that. And how was the investigation completed by the agency? Did they get every diagram? Did they talk to every witness? Did they get all the information, exculpatory and that information that would lead you to believe that this allegation is true?
Right.
So all that has to come into it. One of the other things that people want to know is, well, why is the officer still getting paid while he's dealing with that? Well, in every jurisdiction, there is an administrative process that all employees are entitled to. And for policemen and police people, when an incident happens, they are, depending on the nature of the allegation, they're suspended. If it's a felony, in most agencies, you're suspended without pay. And then the internal investigation happens, or if it's a criminal allegation, the criminal investigation will precede the administrative investigation.
Right.
So, people often ask that question, well, why is he still getting paid? Well, that's part of the administrative process that everyone is entitled to. Just like if a teacher had an issue, he or she has an administrative process that the school system will go through and so forth and so on.
Right.
Let me just take a quick moment, Pastor C, to invite any callers because we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call at 702-425-7789, 702-425-7789, or you can chat with us and we will get your comments on. And in just a minute or so, we're going to bring a caller up and see if we can get some additional perspectives. So with that being said, Pastor C, did that answer your question about that process?
It did. You know what? And it brings some light to what was asked. And my other question is, is the community aware of the fact that they have access to their police chief and different things of that nature? Because you said, and I quote, that is the community's police department.
Yes, it is.
And I wonder if people know that they can, as a community, as a people, can go in and dialogue and talk and be able to have conversation with law enforcement. Is that something that people are aware of?
Well, that's a great point, Pastor C, and that's incumbent upon the agencies to make that information available. Now, a lot of agencies have their general orders online. They have other information, crime solvers, and all the other information, but it is incumbent upon the agency to make the citizens aware of that, just like it's incumbent upon the citizens to make sure that they remain engaged in what's going on in their community. So let's take a minute, and we have a caller on the line, Pastor C and Miss Susan, and let's hear from our caller. Caller, you're on the air. Caller, can you hear us? You're on the air.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Good evening. I'm enjoying the conversation. My name is Ellen Brown, and I write a column for Black Images magazine. It's a monthly column, and the title of it is "You Have the Power." My position for doing this column is to identify several ways that people in the community can get what they want, specifically as it pertains to political influenced things. So the system we have the conflict is really where we need to turn. And there are many other things that we can do, but often people find other ways to express themselves or to try and influence the way that things go, whether it's in terms of the candidate that they may want or a person that they feel to be in position and making those decisions. But along with all of those, I believe that we have to absolutely exercise our right and as Americans to go to the polls, to vote people in and vote people out who don't reflect what we believe in. Earlier you talked about how, which I think was good, Chief Blow, where you talked about the things that people can do. And I mentioned those have mentioned those in the column in the past, and I made some notes because I'd like to share that. But what message would you have for the community, actually both of you, for the community that is affected by all of these things that we're talking about, that would be encouraging enough to get them to use their power to create accountability as well as change?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that there are several ways. I think first of all, you have to look at the low-hanging fruit. What types of things can we do right away that show the community and that show the police department that, hey, we're in this together? There are ways that are happening all over the country. You know, folks have coffee clubs and they have, book clubs, and all the agencies across the country are doing some really innovative things to get people into the fold as quickly as possible, so that now we can say, for example, we're part of the Anywhere Police Department. Prior to July, we didn't have any civic groups. Now we have a book club, we have a coffee club, and we're doing these things coming up in the summer. Now that's a quick victory that allows you to start building on having that type of engagement with the community. From the community's perspective, not only should you join that and spread the message, but you need to do things like be at those hearings that are coming up for budgets and other types of things. You need to sit in on some of these court cases. And I'm not talking about just the cases that are involving officers who are having challenges. The majority of the officers that are out here are doing a tremendous job. And so if you know of a case that's coming up, grab 3 or 4 of your neighbors and go sit in on that case, so that when the prosecutors and others look out, they say, oh, wow, that's the Anywhere Civic Association. They're really engaged and concerned about this case. And when that officer looks back and sees that group of citizens sitting back supporting her and trying to seek a conviction for someone that has been, pillaging that community, that too sends a message: we're with you. We are with you, and we're going to support your efforts. When you're wrong, we're going to challenge you, and when you're right, we're going to support you. But either way, we are partners in this endeavor. Just like conversely, there are bad people in that community that those officers are going to have to deal with, and they need to know that Ms. Jones, you've given us information about drug dealing and so forth. This is what we plan to do. Will you support us? So I think there are a lot of things that can happen, but I always encourage going for the low-hanging fruit. Those opportunities to dialogue and have some socialization opportunities, and then moving into the citizen police academies, looking at the opportunities to sit on some of the district or chiefs advisory councils and the state's attorney's office. They also have advisory councils and so forth and so on. So there are all kinds of opportunities that are available for folks to get engaged in their law enforcement quests.
And I agree with that. If I can add to it, I think that we need to embrace the power of accountability, making those who serve us and who are benefiting from tax-paid dollars to be accountable to what we put them in office to do. And so I don't think too many of our community, or too much of our community, is involved enough. And so if we're not visible, then how can we make those who are supposed to serve and protect us accountable? And so if there is no accountability, people can just do what they want to do, abuse power. And so the community must be visible. And also, I believe, too, that the community must have a different perspective and perception about the police and law enforcement. Everybody is not bad. Everybody is not crooked. And so when you have honor and see something as being credible and respectable or whatever, you want to partner with it so that it can make a difference. And so I truly believe that we need to make those individuals accountable by doing the very things that Chief says, getting involved in community things and showing ourselves and having a voice. I think the people are losing their voice, and we are allowing too much to happen without us saying anything. No one is making a fuss. No one is making a fuss, and people will do what you allow them to do, whether it be in leadership or in laity. People will do what you allow them to do.
And one thing you mentioned, Chief Blow, is the Citizens Police Academy. Does every department have one, and what is it?
Well, many agencies do. And Ms. Brown, thank you for the call. We're going to disconnect, and we are going to get some other callers in after we go to break. But the majority of the agencies have the Citizens Police Academy. The majority of them do. There are very few that don't now. That's a great opportunity for an agency to expose the citizens to the challenges associated with law enforcement, and also to get different perspectives on how they can work together with their agencies. And they also offer some great suggestions on how to abate certain problems. So to answer your question, the majority of agencies across the country do have citizen police academies, and there are very few that don't. Some of your smaller agencies, some that may only have 10, 28 officers, may not have a Citizens Police Academy, but many jurisdictions and counties and states do have some form of that. But what we're going to do at this point, we thank you for the call, Ms. Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
And we're going to go to break. And when we get back from break, I know we have another caller, and then we're going to get back into some other hot topics around police work and policing in America. Does everyone feel respected and protected? Welcome to the Community Happy Hour. The Columbus Police Department will be hosting a job seminar on Saturday, July 14th at 10 a.m. at 1000 Hague Avenue in Columbus, Ohio. On Wednesday, July 18th, the MBA Admissions Multi-School event will be held at the Sheraton Grand in Los Angeles at 711 South Hope Street from 7 to 9 p.m. This will be your opportunity to talk to admission officers from top business schools from around the country. The City of Orlando will continue their free summer monthly movie events held on the East Lawn between Washington Boulevard and Central Boulevard. On July 27th, they will feature Peter Rabbit. So grab a blanket and come on out and have a great movie night on the lawn. The gentlemen of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated will be hosting the Bowling for Babies event in conjunction with the March of Dimes on September 1st, 2018 at the Texas Station Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. So come on everyone, raise your glass and let's toast our wonderful communities.